Here's a number that should make somebody angry. Ready? More than 80% of women in perimenopause and menopause, the fatigue, the brain fog, the 3 a.m. wake ups, the mood swings that are all over the place, a body that doesn't feel like theirs, more than 80% never actually get the help that they need. And I know what you just thought, right? Because everybody thinks it. Well, why don't you just go to the doctor? Why don't they just do that? And that assumption is the one that felt like common sense, right? But it's the whole reason why I'm doing this episode, because it's wrong. And it's wrong in a way that's been making women blame themselves. So stay with me for today's episode.
Welcome to the True Wellness Podcast with Dr. Z, where we explore what it takes to live with vitality, balance, and purpose. I am Dr. Z, and each week I will bring you powerful tools, inspiring stories, and expert insights to help you thrive in every area of your life. From health and wellness to mindset and navigating life's challenges, this podcast is your guide to creating a life of true well-being. Be sure to check the show notes and grab your copy of the True Wellness Checklist so you can get started on your journey right away. Now, let's get started.
Okay, so like I said, more than 80% of women are not getting the help that they need during perimenopause and menopause, right? And let's be real. I want to be very, very clear about something. Perimenopause and menopause, it is a natural transition that we go through. It does not need specific medical intervention, right? It's kind of like childbirth. Women gave birth to healthy babies long before they needed to be hospitalized to do so. Okay. But I know exactly what you're thinking when I say that 80% of women are not getting help, right? You're thinking in the back of your mind, well, why don't they go to the doctor? Or why don't they just say something? Or why aren't they advocating for themselves? And that that assumption that you just made, the one that felt like common sense, right? It is what we need to dive into because it's wrong. And it's not a little wrong, right? But it's wrong in a way that's been quietly making women feel like the failure is theirs when it really never was. So, first, I want to tell you where that 80% number, where it actually comes from, what's really happening underneath it, and why the story that we tell about these women, and it can be any one of us, including myself, right? Like, oh, they're neglecting themselves, they're putting everyone else first, they're not speaking up. Well, it's almost the exact opposite truth. Because here's what I've seen and I've heard over, being in practice for nearly 20 years, right? These women, they're not silent. Most of them, they went, they asked, and they got sent home from the doctor with nothing. So if that's you, if you've ever walked out of an appointment feeling like, oh my God, am I crazy? Or am I just being true dramatic? Or maybe like you should just like push through, this next 40 minutes of this podcast is for you. Let's get into it. So the 80% number, okay? Because I want to be clear. I never want to put out a statistic, never want to give it to you without telling you where it came from. You deserve to know whether to trust that statistic or not. So in October of 2025, the Mayo Clinic, it published a paper that was a study on midlife women and menopause symptoms. And the study was stark, right? More than a third of the women they surveyed reported moderate to very severe symptoms, like not a little inconvenience, but symptoms bad enough to like wreck their sleep, their focus, their work, their marriages. And very few of them were actually getting the assistance that they need. They were just getting dismissed. And the lead author said something in that study that really stuck with me. She said, the symptoms are common, okay? They're common, they're disruptive, and yet few women are actually getting help. And it's time we deal with that more proactively. And when you begin to widen the lens into the broader research, the picture, I mean, it gets even starker. I mean, the figure that comes up again and again and again is that more than 80% of women never seek care for these symptoms at all. Okay. Now, we can go down a whole rabbit hole because I'm not here to promote any sort of pharmaceutical or any kind of bioidentical hormone treatment or anything like that. I do believe we got to start foundationally. We've got to start before we hit perimenopause. We need to step into perimenopause with a body that is ready to step into that phase of life, not a body that's depleted and toxic and all of that. But we'll save that for another episode. We start heading towards those women in their 20s and 30s, which is really where we need to deal with that. But anyway, that number, that 80%, and the moment that a number gets out into the world, people start explaining it, right? And here's a story that everybody reaches for first. The story goes something like, women are self-sacrificing. They put their kids first. They put their parents first. They put their jobs first. They put their partners first. And then they put themselves dead last. Okay. And they're so used to running on empty and taking care of everyone else that they don't make the appointment to like go get help. They don't prioritize themselves. They suffer in silence because that's what they've always done. And look, I understand that's why that story is popular. In some ways, like it's flattering. We are flattered by sort of putting ourselves last on the list. It's like culturally acceptable. Many of us do it, but even though there's a sliver of truth in it, okay, because a lot of women have absolutely been conditioned to put themselves last, okay, I have sat across literally on Zoom and in person from thousands of these women, okay, and for almost 2 decades now. And I'm telling you that the story is mostly wrong because it has one fatal flaw. It assumes that they didn't go ask for help, okay? And they did go. The women I see in my practice, they didn't stay quiet. They booked the appointment. They worked up the courage to get to their doctor. They sat in the chair in their doctor's office and said the hard thing out loud. I don't feel like myself. Something is wrong. They've advocated for themselves. They've asked. They did everything that the story behind this says that they failed to do. So if they did all of those things, why did they show up in the data as women who never sought care? And that's the question. That's the question that actually matters. And the answer is where this whole episode turns. You see, I want to walk you through what actually happens because if you have lived it, and be sure leave a comment for us in the podcast, or if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, leave a comment in YouTube or send us a message in Facebook or Instagram or whatever. Because if you've lived it, I want you to feel seen. And if you haven't lived it yet, well, I want you to be able to recognize it when it comes. So take Beth, for example. Beth is a woman in her early 40s. She's confident. She's the person everyone goes to when they need something done. Everyone leans on her. And over 18 months ago, she slowly stopped recognizing herself, right? First, it was the fatigue, like not normal tired, like the kind that even if she slept 8 hours, it didn't even make a difference because her sleep itself too had changed. She'd drop off fine, right? And then like she'd snap awake at 3 a.m. Her heart would be racing. She'd never get back down to sleep. And then the brain fog and losing words mid-sentence in meetings that, she used to be able to work through like impressively. Then the weight, right? Mostly around her middle while she was eating less than she had ever eaten before. And underneath it, there was like just a flatness, like not grief, not sadness with a cause, but just like, the color in life turned down for her. So Beth did the responsible thing, right? She made an appointment with her doctor. And this is the part I need you to hear clearly. She went in, she described all of it. And the doctor, by the way, who is not the villain in this story, okay, I want to be fair about that. The doctor ran the standard labs, and the labs all came back normal. And so Beth was told some version of, hey, everything looks fine. This is normal for your age. Try to get some more rest, manage your stress, maybe lose a little weight, and let's see how you feel in 6 months. Come back then. Now, think about what just happened from Beth's side of the desk. She came in with a body that was screaming at her. It was like ringing, banging, banging, banging down the door. And she got told that the body was fine. So now she's got two options, and both of those options are pretty terrible, right? Option number one, the doctor's right, everything's fine, which means that what? It's all in her head, which means that, I don't know, she's being dramatic, she's being weak, she's making a big deal out of normal aging. So she should be able to just like push through it, right? And the fact that she can't means what? It means something's wrong with her, specifically as a person. Okay, so that's option one. Option two is that, hey, something is really wrong. And the system that's supposed to catch it didn't. And that's almost scarier because where does she go from there? Where does she go from there? See, most women are faced with these two options, right? They quietly pick option one in most cases because it's the one that keeps making sense, right? And they go home and they tell themselves to toughen up and they stop bringing it up, like to the doctor, to their partner, eventually even to themselves. They just absorb it. It becomes their new norm. And that right there is how women who went and asked for help become one of the 80% who never sought care. She sought it. She just learned fast that seeking it didn't do anything. So she stopped. And nobody counted the trying. Nobody counted like, oh, wait, well, she did go. The data only sees the silence that comes after that attempt. And here's why this happened. And I want to be precise about this because I'm not here to make doctors the bad guys. I have friends who are medical doctors. I totally respect our medical community, right? We look at things, I as a holistic practitioner, as a functional medicine practitioner, I look at things through a little bit different lens, right? So what's happening is that the standard labs are looking for disease. They're looking for the thing that's broken. Okay. They look for the number that's outside the range, the marker that says there's pathology. And that's what conventional medicine is built to find. And when it finds it, I mean, it can be genuinely brilliant. You know, if Beth had a tumor, that system would likely catch it and save her life. But Beth doesn't have a disease. Beth is in menopause. And her body is doing something very specific, something it was designed to do, right? Estrogen and progesterone, they're dropping and swinging, and it ripples straight into all the systems that run her day in her body. So now her cortisol rhythm is up, so she's waking up at 3 a.m. Her thyroid and her blood sugar, well, they're handling the shift. So she's got the fatigue, she's got the new weight around her middle, her brain is recalibrating, right? It's recalibrating to the lower estrogen. So that's like the brain fog and the flat mood. And notice none of these things show up as a disease on a standard panel, but it's real physiology. It's not pathology. There's not something wrong here. So the system sees no disease and says, what? You're fine. So the tools that we have weren't actually built to see what's happening to her. And it's not that the doctor didn't care. It's just that the map that the doctor is using doesn't have her on it. And when your symptoms don't show up on a map, right? That blood work, you get told, "Hey, the territory doesn't exist." Even though you're like standing right in it. So Here's what that does to a woman, because we breeze past it like it's nothing, and it is not nothing. When you bring a real problem to an authority that you trust, and that authority tells you that there's no problem, something corrosive begins to happen. You don't just leave without a solution. You actually leave doubting your own perception. You start to distrust the most basic signal you have, right? Your own sense that something is wrong inside your own body. And that is a genuinely dangerous place to put a person, because your relationship with your own body, your ability to feel a signal and believe it, that's foundational. It's how you've kept yourself alive your entire life. And when an appointment teaches you that your signals are unreliable, that you're a drama queen, that you can't trust what it is that you feel, what do you start doing? You start overriding yourself. You push through things you shouldn't push through. You ignore the very messages that are trying to help you. Now, I see the downstream of this all the time in my practice. By the time a woman finds her way to me, she's been dismissed 3, 4, 5 times, and she doesn't open with, "Here are my symptoms." No, she opens with something more like, "I know this is probably nothing. I know I sound crazy. I'm sure I'm just being dramatic, but I hear it all the time," because she's been trained, right? She's been trained by the people who were supposed to help her to disbelieve herself before she even gets a sentence out. And I have to do this work before any other work. The work of helping her understand that you are not crazy. You are never dramatic. You were never dramatic. Your body was telling the truth the whole time. And everybody just kept handing you a test that actually couldn't hear what that was going on. So, and there's a second cost too. You know, that cost is it's quieter, right? When normal labs, well, this is just aging, that becomes the answer. Women actually start to believe that what they're feeling is just aging. Like it's fixed, it's permanent. Like this is the new floor. This is the way life gets to be just because you hit a specific number. This is who I am now. I watched an interview today. I'm hoping with a woman I would love to have on this podcast show. She's 101. She works out every day. She's in this interview. You have no idea she's 101, right? She doesn't have that same belief about what this normal is for aging. Okay. And when we get stuck in that trap, we start to think like, oh, okay, I'm getting older. This is who I am now. This is what the rest of my life feels like. And then what happens is we start to grieve the version of ourselves that had the energy, that had the clarity, as if like that version, she's gone for good. Except she's not, right? That's part of the story. And I want to say this as clearly as I know how. The exhaustion, the brain fog, the flatness, that is not a fixed fact about your age. It is a state your body is in. And that state can change when you actually address what's driving it instead of being told that those things don't exist. Okay. Now, I'm not promising anyone their 20s back. I'm not selling you a fountain of youth. That's a different industry. And frankly, it does almost more harm than the dismissal does. But what I'm telling you is the truth in between that. And that is that your body is responsive. It is not done as you age. It has been trying to get your attention, and you're just getting older. Learn to live with it. It's not a diagnosis. It's an absence of one. Okay. All right. Here's a turn. Everything Everything so far has been about what's wrong with the story we tell. Now, I want to give you a better one, the one that I've built almost 20 years of my practice around. Because you see, we've been taught to think about the body like a machine, and machines break. So when something feels off, we go looking for the broken part, the malfunction, the thing to fix or replace. That's the whole model. Find what's broken and fix it. Okay. But your body is not a machine, and it does not actually malfunction the way we think it does. And here's what I've come to understand, and it's changed how I practice really. Your body is always moving toward balance. Every single thing it does, even the symptoms that feel like betrayal, right? To feel like your body is betraying you, they're all an attempt to keep you safe, to bring you back to center. See, the body doesn't turn on you, it adapts. Sometimes the adaptation is uncomfortable, but it is still trying to help. So a symptom is not the body breaking. A symptom is actually the body communicating. It's a signal. It's information. That fatigue is information. That brain fog is information. The weight that won't move, that is your body telling you something about what it's prioritizing and what it doesn't feel safe letting go of right now. And these aren't malfunctions to silence. They're actually messages to read. And once you really get that, once it drops from your head into your gut, the whole 80% problem looks completely different. Because what happened to Beth wasn't that her body broke and her doctor dismissed it. Not at all. What happened is that her body sent a set of clear, intelligent signals. And they got read as nothing. They got read as noise. They got read as normal for your age. The signal was working perfectly. The receiver, though, wasn't tuned into the signal. So let me say the thing that this whole episode has been building toward. Are you ready? You didn't fail to get help. You weren't too quiet. You weren't too passive. You weren't too late. You sent a signal loud and clear and on time. It got dismissed by a system that's only trained for look for things that are broken. Okay? Your body wasn't broken. It was speaking. It was talking to you. Do you feel the difference there? Like one version makes you the problem. You didn't advocate. You didn't prioritize. You let it go. The other version puts it where it belongs. You did everything right. And the tools used to evaluate you simply couldn't hear what your body was saying. One of those is true. And it's not the one that blames you. That's the difference between two entirely different worldviews about health. One that says your body is a machine, find what's broken, and if we can't find anything broken, you're fine, go home. The other one says your body is intelligent, it's always communicating, and our job is to get quiet enough and skilled enough to actually listen to what it's telling us. I practice the second one, not because it's softer, but because after nearly 20 years in practice, it's the one that's actually true. It's true to what I see happening in real women's bodies. So if seeking care like the conventional way too often means getting told that you're fine, sent home, what should it actually look like? Here's the contrast, right? Because I don't want to just critique. I want to point you at something better, because real care actually starts by believing you. And that almost sounds like too simple, right? But it's the whole foundation. It starts from the assumption, right, that if you say something is wrong, something is worth investigating. Not because you're always right about what it is, but because your felt sense that you're off is data. And good care looks at the data instead of just throwing it away. Real care reads the signals instead of just silencing them. And the conventional reflex when it does something, it's often to shut the symptom down, right? Like you have a headache, take the Tylenol, shut the symptom down. Like, here's something to mask your fatigue. Here's something to change your mood. Here's something to force your numbers into range. Here's something to, an injection to make you drop weight really fast by ignoring what your body needs. Now, listen, sometimes there's a place for that. But if all you ever do is silence the signals, you never find out what that signal is actually for. And reading it means asking, what is this body trying to do? What does it need so it doesn't have to send the signal anymore? And real care is not the other like ditch either. Because I mean that's where the whole industry that's sprung up on the opposite side, the optimization world, biohack everything, fix every marker, chase the perfect numbers, the perfect protocol, the peak performance, turn yourself into a project you've never quite done improving, right? And I want to be honest about that. Like, ditch at the first one because a lot of exhausted women they fall into trying to escape the dismissal. That's what they do. So the optimization culture then takes a woman who's already told her body is failing and hands her another full-time job. Oh, now you better go perfect it. You better meditate in the morning, do your sauna, do your weights, do, right? More supplements, more tracking, more discipline, more pressure. And underneath it is the same lie as the deficit model. It's just dressed up nicer, right? Now we're just calling it optimization. But the lie again is that your body is a problem to be solved. And that's just not the case, right? One says your body's broken. The other one says that your body's not optimized enough. Both of them keep you at war with yourself. So what I'm pointing at is neither one. It's not that you're broken. And I hate to use that because AI uses that so often, but I don't have a better word for it right now. So it's not that you're broken and it's not that you're a project. It's that your body is responsive and it's been trying to tell you something. This is part of what I call the body-led framework, by the way, the body-led movement, getting people back to the space where they trust their body. Because your body is telling you something. And the work is to actually restore its ability to hear itself and respond, right? Not to force it, not to perfect it, but to give it back what it needs so that it can do what it already knows how to do. Bodies want to find balance. Mostly, they just need like the obstacles that are in their way removed, and they need the right support added in. That's it. That's the whole entire philosophy. And when I work with a woman like Beth, that's the order of operations. Believe her. Read what her body is actually signaling. Support the systems that are struggling. The nervous system that's stuck in overdrive, the things that her body stopped being able to do, during this transition. And then there's a part that still moves me after all these years, right? When you do those things, I then get to watch her body start to respond. It always does, right? The energy doesn't come back because we force it. It comes back because we stop overriding the signal and we actually start answering it. So let me bring us all the way back to the number from the top, right? The beginning of this podcast, we spoke about that 80%. I didn't want you to hear that number anymore as 80% of women didn't take care of themselves. I actually I want you to hear it for what it actually is. 80% of women have a body that's been sending them signals and a system that too often couldn't or doesn't listen. It's not a story about women failing. It's a story about a gap between what women's bodies are saying and what the standard tools are built to hear. And if you're one of those women, if you heard Beth's story and you felt it in your chest because it's yours, here's what I want you to take out of the episode and keep. Okay? You are not crazy. You were not being dramatic. You did not fail to advocate yourself. That the tiredness is real. The brain fog is real. The flatness is real. Your body's been telling you the truth the entire time, and being told everything looks normal did not make it any less true. It just meant that the test couldn't hear you. And the thing your body has been waiting for isn't for you to push harder or to finally accept that this is just how it is now. No. It's for someone, ideally you first, to actually listen, to treat the signal as real. That's where everything starts. So here's the one thing I'd ask you to do this week. Just one. Pick the symptom you've been pushing through the hardest. The one that you've been, you've become the best at ignoring. And instead of overriding it one more time, get curious about it. Ask what it might be trying to tell you. You don't have to solve it. You just have to stop treating the messenger like the enemy. That shift from silencing to listening is really the beginning of real change. And it's the real change that I get to witness all the time. So that's your one thing this week. You don't need an appointment for it. You don't need to buy anything or click anything. You just need to do the one thing nobody's done for a long time. Take a symptom seriously instead of talking yourself out of it. Pick the one you've gotten the best at ignoring. What is it? Is it the tiredness, the brain fog, the thing in the middle of the night that wakes you up? In this week, just once, when it shows up, instead of overriding it, I want you to pause and ask, what are you trying to tell me? You don't have to answer it. You don't have to fix it, okay? You just have to stop treating it like the enemy. And that's the whole assignment I have for you. That's where everything starts. And if you do that and something opens up, if you start to realize how long you've been overriding yourself, come back and tell me. Tell us on YouTube or social media or message me, Danielle@southbaywellness.com. Find me. Let me know what you notice because that's the conversation I actually care about having with you. So until next week, I'll see you on True Wellness with Dr. Z.
This is Dr. Z reminding you to tune into your body, connect with what matters, and embrace your journey to true wellness. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone who's ready to redefine their health. Be sure to grab a copy of the True Wellness Checklist right in the show notes. Let's keep redefining wellness and empowering change together. See you for the next episode.